Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah,
Good evening.
a little bit of technical issues. I think we're good to go now. I'm just going to make sure everybody is on before we start.
I don't think you all can see me yet, but
We cannot, Barb, but I can hear you fine.
okay.
Well, I hope everybody had a good day. I think we're all on, so I will welcome you to the February 14th Board of Aldermen meeting. And I now call this meeting to order. And as always, I would ask everyone to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
With liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The city clerk for a roll call for attendance.
Alderman Allen,
Here.
Alderman Even,
Here.
Alderman Holman,
Here.
Alderman Hughes,
Here.
Alderman Perot,
Here.
Alderman Weezahan.
Here.
I have Alderman Mortland and Alderman Whitmire as absent. Mayor Reem is presiding and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. The minutes from the January 24th meeting, I'm sure you reviewed. I seek a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Hughes, and a second.
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 Thank you, Alderman Holman. Any discussion or amendment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. In my understanding, I would ask the city clerk, we have a citizen who wishes to address tonight.
Yes, sir. We had one person sign up to speak. That is former Alderman Mange. I do see him with us. Skip, if you could just unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record, then you'll have 3 minutes.
Mr. Manager, still muted. We will work, hold on one second. We're working on getting that fixed. We apologize for a little bit of the technical issues. And if I'm correct, in addition to being a former alderman, Mr. Mange was formerly the mayor.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you
Yes.
perfectly, sir.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
thank you very much.
Thank
I want
you.
to thank Mr. Mayor and the Board of Aldermen for several things. First, back in June of last year, you approved the formation of a task force for veterans and first responders. Since that time, we have been working as a committee to do that. You all appointed Sue Allen to be our chairman, along with Michelle Francisco, Meg Johnson, George Roman, and Larry Toomey, and myself. We have been working diligently since that time for our assignment. You have in your packet a memo from Ann Nixon outlining our work, and there is also a memo from me summarizing what we've been up to. We're actually in a 3-phase kind of program here. The first phase started when we got the committee together. We organized ourselves. We had a discussion about what the project scope should be and about the specifications for the project. We also zeroed in a location for it to be in what is called Worth Grove in the Town Square project. That's the far back on the left amongst all the trees where the Worth home was originally situated. At that site, and it's staked incidentally, if you ever want to go out and look at it. From that site, you can see the entire development of the Town Square. And it's just a really quiet kind of place to be. We then went through the process of selecting a design firm to help us. We did an RFQ. We had 5 responders to that. We selected 3 of the 5 to actually interview. They came in for interviews, and we unanimously agreed that the firm we would like to use is SWT. SWT has experience with the city of Town and Country over the years, and they are an excellent firm. Before you, I think it's Bill 2213 is an actual contract with SWT to provide for the design services at a cost of $7,500. Phase 2 of it would be after that approval of that agreement. We would then start working with SWT to do community input. They ask residents to come and have a charrette kind of situation, to invite you all with a work session to look at it and give us what your thoughts would be. And then in the process of all that, we'd come up with what we hope would be a final design. At that time, then we can get a fairly accurate cost estimate. Our initial reaction was about $50,000. But as many of you have experienced, as have I, projects like this tend to get larger in scope. When you start involving the public and elected officials, they say, yeah, this is great, but why can't we do this, that, or the other thing? So it could go up in expense. So right now, I would say it's going to be somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 to do the project. The current contract is for $8,000, and we actually have the money in the bank to do that. There is a fund within your system, and it has a balance in it of $8,000, which will cover the cost of the initial design work and so forth. When we have the design, then we can come down with a fairly accurate cost estimate. The third phase then is to raise the money necessary to build the project. And that's going to entail direct contact with residents in every way we can, through newsletters, email lists, and everything we all can think of, to actually reach out and tell the citizens what it is we're doing, what it's going to look like, because we'll have the actual drawings to look at, and basically do a fundraising program. Our intent is also to reach out to corporations in our city and make presentations to them, and hopefully we can get some money from them. And we can go to newsletters and direct contact and all kinds of ways to reach the people to try and raise the money necessary to complete the project. Time frame for this is, it's going to take a year from now before we'd probably be ready. And it really depends on how easy and how long we have to take to collect the funds. Again, we want to come to you all after we get done with our public inputs. That's about all I have to say. I want to thank you again for your willingness to support the project. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Mr. Mance, Mayor Mance, thank you for your comments. Thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you all.
Good evening. Next we have some public hearings that I'll read, but before I do, I just want to make a quick comment. Hey, we have we have a very full agenda. It is Valentine's Day. I don't want to stifle anyone's comments or discussion at all, but kind of keep that in mind. All right, number one, public hearing. A public hearing to review a request from Ben Moorman, owner, for approval of a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool, located at 929 Claymark Drive in the Suburban Estate zoning district. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis County on January 28th, 2022. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the Municipal Center, on the city's website, on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property, with a list of those owners attached. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2208.
Thank you. And Mr. Moorman, Ben Moorman, will be present to answer questions. Are there any questions of the applicants or any discussion? And I would ask the city clerk if there are any public comments.
No, sir, none were submitted for this item.
I now declare the public hearing closed. Second is a public hearing to review a request from the same Mr. Moorman, owner, for approval of a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool house, located at 929 Claymark Drive in the Suburban Estate zoning district. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis County on January 28, 2022. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the municipal center, on the city's website, on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property, with a list of those owners attached. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2209.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant or any discussion? I would ask the city clerk if there are any public comments.
No, sir.
Thank you. Then I would now declare the public hearing closed. The third is a public hearing to consider zoning code amendments related to the regulation of convenience stores, section 405.080, section 405.560, conditional uses off campus, office zoning districts, section 405.1415, permitted uses, service revitalization development, and section 405.1440, off-street parking and loading requirements. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis County on January 28, 2022. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the municipal center, on the city's website, and sent to the public via Notify Me. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2210.
Thank you. And Ryan Spencer, as you all know, our city planner, will be present to answer questions. Are there any questions of the applicants or any discussion? And I would ask the city clerk if there are any public comments.
No, sir, none were submitted for this item.
I would now declare the public hearing closed. Our last public hearing is a public hearing to review a request from Scott Fell of Nova Group on behalf of Spirit Energy LLC, owner, for approval of a conditional use permit for a convenience store with gasoline sales to be located at 2720 North Dallas Road in the campus office zoning district developed under service revitalization zoning regulations. I now declare the public hearing open and would ask the city clerk to enter exhibits.
Exhibit number 1 is affidavit of publication of notice of hearing, published in the St. Louis County on January 28, 2022. Exhibit number 2 is typewritten notice of hearing, posted at the municipal center, on the city's website, on the subject property, and mailed to property owners within 300 feet of that property, with a list of those owners attached. And exhibit number 3 is bill number 2212.
Thank you. And Chris Kemp, owner, will be present to answer questions. Are there any questions of the applicants or any discussion? Alderman Holman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 considerations I'd like to present to the petitioner, but before I go into those considerations for conditions, I'd first like to thank Mr. Kemp. I'd like to thank him and his team for all of their efforts as it pertains to community engagement efforts and availability to our town and country residents. The Kemp group came forward and held an open house for our residents to attend on December 14th. They brought in 8 storyboards laying out the site development plan and were available to answer any questions. They further created a pop-up website for all of our residents in town and country where they could point questions and comments directly to them with regard to this site development plan. And then lastly, to top it off, if a resident could not attend the open house or did not feel comfortable emailing them, they could call them directly, and the owners of this development plan met one-on-one with residents. So I just thank them and applaud them for their efforts for community engagement with our residents.
Yes.
And with that, I do have 2 additional, and further, there have been many considerations that have already come forward with this development plan that have gone through planning and zoning and have gone through the architectural review board, and those considerations were accepted by the developer. So I have 2 more to request. So my request for the petitioner is would be condition R on the site plan. And it would read as follows: the applicant shall be responsible for installation and maintenance of all landscaping adjacent to Ballas Road and any other conditions that are subject to a maintenance agreement between St. Louis County and the city of Town and Country for that specific area. So I'd like to hear from Mr. Kemp if he would accept that condition R.
Kemp, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Now
I'm
we
sorry.
can.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Absolutely no problem.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I have one more request. It would be condition S, and it would also pertain to the site plan, and it would read as follows: the applicant shall be responsible for the installation and annual renewal of one flock security camera system with access by the Town and Country Police Department on the east side of the property, in addition to your security system that you would have on site.
And I would love to have the opportunity to speak with the chief of police or whoever else was designated, but you know, we are going to put in a lot of security. This is going to be a state-of-the-art system that no matter what we do with the flock camera, the city will have full access to everything we have, which will be many, many more cameras. But one way or the other, if the chief decides that it's in the best interest of the city to do it, I absolutely agree.
I appreciate that answer a lot. So what we'll do then to move forward, and Mr. Shelton, correct me if I'm wrong, we will go ahead and amend for our second reading Bill 2212 with condition R and S as I just read, and then if needed, we can talk about that live when we go through condition S during the second reading. Is that right? Or Ashley? I don't know who I should be asking.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Kemp. I really appreciate all of your efforts with our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would then ask the city clerk if there are any public comments.
No, sir, none were submitted for this public hearing.
Okay, and I now declare the public hearing closed. Just have one appointment, Ruth Riney to the Architecture Review Board. She's a longtime resident of Town and Country, certainly longer than I've been here. I don't know, close to 25 years. I think she's been here several years longer than that. Very reasonable, very intelligent and hardworking person. I know she'll do a good job, and I know she'll do the most important thing. She'll show up at the meetings. So she will, I think, be a wonderful addition to the Architectural Review Board. And again, I want to be efficient tonight, but there are a couple of things I do want to comment to. I do want to thank our city staff, Tim Randick in particular. They did yeoman work during that snowstorm. They really did. They did a great job. And the police department did too. I mean, they were out there to help push people out of ditches and things like that. So just across the board, our city staff and our police department did a great job during the snowstorm. The other thing I want to mention real briefly, and I know you all read it, but I was completely amazed by the accomplishments of the alderman who passed on, Gussie Crawford. You talk about breaking a glass ceiling before anybody ever heard of a glass ceiling. To become president of the AAU, to do such a great job that their Lifetime Achievement Award is the Gussie Crawford Award is spectacular. So I really wish I would have been able to know her. She must have been a remarkable person. There's probably 100 stories like that in Town and Country, people you don't know, but who do kind of remarkable things. And for her to be the first female president of AAU and to make that kind of an impact, that's a life well lived. And I just felt I had to mention that. I open it up now to commission chairman if they have any reports that they are notice of meetings that they want to talk about. Alderman Holman.
Thank you, Mayor. I absolutely echo your sentiments with regard to the public safety of our roadways with Mr. Randick, with Tom Thousand and our police department. So I really applaud their efforts, and I heard some really nice feedback from the community. So thank you to those two teams. Additionally, I wanted to share that we will not hold a Public Works Commission meeting in the month of February, but we anticipate holding a March meeting. And then lastly, I just wanted to provide an update with regard to our stormwater subcommittee. It is formed. We've held our first meeting. We are up and running. We're off to a great start. We've established goals and timeline, and we hope to bring that work product back to this board sooner than later, but I'm not going to commit to a date yet.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We'll say there is a strong interest in that group. So I know it'll do a great job. Moving on to, Alderman Allen, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I do appreciate former Mayor and Alderman Mange for speaking. And since I have consistently reported on the task force, I just wanted to comment on our last meeting this past Monday. We did vote to approve the contract with SWT Design. I believe that was for $7,500. Our next meeting is February 23rd. And that will be to look at the next process of the plan that Skip identified. Well, actually, we're jumping to the last part. So we're getting our early plans for fundraising, but obviously you have ordinance 2213 for first read, and we'll look forward to talking. And anytime anyone wants to has questions over the next 2 weeks, I'd be more than happy to talk about them. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Allen. Moving on to unfinished business, bill number 22-02, brought forward by Alderman Mortland and Weezahan. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2202 is an ordinance amending Title II, Public Health, Safety, and Welfare of the Municipal Code of the City of Town and Country, specifically by the amendment of Chapter 230, Local Emergency Management in its entirety.
Thank you. I would seek a motion to approve. So that would be Alderman Even, thank you. Seconded by Alderman Weezahan. Any discussion or amendment? Alderman Holman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a quick question as it pertains to the appointee, which, I have complete confidence and faith in you and Mr. Shelton in appointing that person and bringing that person forward to the board. But I'm just wondering what the conversation was around, should the criteria or qualifications for that appointee be outlined in this document? And also, should there be language provided of what would trigger removal, or I don't want to say termination, but for that person no longer to be in his or her seat? And what made me think of this is, as I think about a city engineer, our public works director, and new language we added to those duties and responsibility as it pertains to qualifications and keeping your license active and so on and so forth. I'm just wondering if we should do that same here.
Well, I'm going to defer to Mr. Shelton for an opinion on that.
So previously, this had been our fire marshal who headed up the emergency operations plan. I would anticipate for most instances, and in general, it would be the police chief, who then has other individuals under their command to assist with these things. But it could actually depend on the situations that we would encounter, the type of individual it may need to be as we move forward, our public works director. So I'd hate to tie us down too much. I'd like to leave this somewhat broad.
Okay. I I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about that, and I don't want to take up time here on that. So on that note, though, with regard to the Public Works Director, so then what I kind of hear you saying is that that person necessarily doesn't always have to have a public safety background.
Not necessarily. If you see many of the emergency operation coordinators, a lot of times they're an administrative type person. The police, the fire, the public works are all a part of the team, but they may have a coordinator.
Okay,
who
and
is
then
not.
if you have that person in their position and let's say they retire, but they still want to hold that position, is that possible? Could they continue forward with that?
I would
we
not
need-
personally anticipate that. I mean, I think that would be
Okay.
a discussion we would need to have depending on the circumstances, would be my opinion.
So then just to be clear, I'll ask it again. Do we want to add any language to clean up these areas, or you're comfortable moving forward with the vagueness of it?
I'm comfortable, I wouldn't necessarily say vagueness, but with the flexibility it allows
Okay.
to say.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Alderman Even.
So with Alderman Holman's comments, is this person appointed for each particular situation or disaster, or is this a constant person from the start?
I would anticipate it be a constant person, not per event. Individual assignments may need to change on the type of event. You know, if it's a police emergency, we may need, more police. If it's a roadway activity, that might be involved more with the public works. This just sets the general framework, brings us into compliance with, the national standards, really. I think we can discuss this as we look more at the appointment. This kind of just sets up your framework at this point.
I have to say, I would like to make sure there's a little leeway in terms of who we can pick, and don't want to make sure we have ourselves in a corner where we have an applicant pool that we don't really particularly like. So,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
if I could address that, the
Sure.
way
Sure.
it's set up is that it's an appointment by you with advice and consent of the Board of Aldermen. If you are to remove the person, you could remove them with advice and consent of the Board of Aldermen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
I think at this point, we're ready for the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Weezahan,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
and Alderman Holman.
Aye.
The bill carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4483.
Thank you. Number two, bill number 22-03, sponsored by Alderman Wortland and Weezahan. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2203 is an ordinance amending Title III, Traffic Regulations of the Municipal Code of the City of Town and Country, specifically Chapter 300 and Chapter 375 regarding the definition and use of electric bicycles.
Thank you. I seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
And seconded by Alderman Holman. Any discussion or amendment? Would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
and Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4484.
Thank you. Next bill number 2204, sponsored by Alderman Even and Weezahan. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2204 is an ordinance approving a record plat and trust indenture for Greystone Manor subdivision in the city of Town and Country, and authorizing the record plat to be recorded in the Office of the Recorder of Deeds of St. Louis County.
Thank you. Seek a motion to approve. And a second. Alderman Even.
Second.
Second by Alderman Weazahan. Any discussion or amendment? Would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Weazahan,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
and Alderman Perot.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4485.
Thank you. Number 4, bill number 22-05, brought forward by Alderman Holman, Allen, and Perot. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2205 is an ordinance approving a beautification grant allocation for Fairfield subdivision.
I seek a motion to approve
So moved.
by Alderman Holman and seconded by Alderman Allen, I believe. Any discussion or amendment? Alderman Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. I just, at this time, would like to thank Ms. Lowell and Mr. Zeitman. I did talk to Mr. DeVono from Fairfield this week, and I've very much heard all the support and great help and knowledge that our staff provided for this. And I like seeing public-private partnership projects. And I believe that this is going to be a great addition for Fairfield, but it will be good for the city. Thank you.
I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Weazahan,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
and Alderman Even.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4486.
Thank you. Number 5, bill number 22-06, sponsored by Alderman Allen. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2206 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Clifton Larson Allen for audit services for fiscal years ending 2021 through 2025 and amending the 2022 budget by increasing a general fund expenditure account and appropriating funds to cover the increase.
Thank you. Seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second by Alderman Perot. And before I ask for discussion, I want to be sure it's clear that the $7,500 was from an anonymous donor. It doesn't come out of the general fund of the city or general revenues, and that this is going to be erected with private funding. Just want to make sure that that's clearly understood. Any other discussion or amendment? And would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
and Alderman Weazahan.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4487.
Lastly,
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for just one sec? I'm confused on what just happened here. Do you mind, Mayor, if I ask you a question?
I do not mind.
Was that comment with regard to Bill 2206, or was that with regard to new business?
That was the 06.
Actually, I think the funding for the, I think the discussion there was funding for the veterans, and this is the auditor, their
Oh,
internal auditor, which we will pay out of budgeted city fund.
I stand completely corrected. I misread that. My mistake.
Yeah, great. Okay, so, and just so Ash for the minutes. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
Moving right along. All right,
Right.
number 2207, sponsored by Alderman Holman, Hughes, Weazahan, and Eden. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2207 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with T Hill Construction for the Laurel Lake Estates Pond Stormwater Project and amending the 2022 budget by increasing a Parks and Stormwater Fund expenditure account and appropriating funds to cover the increase.
Thank you. I seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Alderman Holman,
Second.
second from Alderman Allen. Any discussion or amendment? Alderman Holman.
Just real quickly, and I appreciate, I think we've heard from almost every alderman on this asking really great questions because this is a very large expenditure. But what I do want to highlight and point out is that this comes out of our restricted Parks and Storm Fund, which, and Joanne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we anticipated ending 2022 with about $1.5 million in the bank, and this will bring it down depending on if we spend that 5% or not, you know, $1.4 million, maybe $1.3 million and a half. So this is, the point is, it's a healthy fund and we have the money to do this project, even though it is coming over budget, and that's primarily due to, hey, it's no surprise, workforce and cost of material, increase in cost of materials. That's it.
Thank you. I would say that certainly I've had discussions with multiple aldermen about it. But they've all been good, productive discussions that I think are moving things in the right way. At this point, I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Weazahan,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
and Alderman Perot.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4488.
Thank you. And moving on to new business, bill number 22-08. I would seek a sponsor for the bill. I was probably thinking Alderman Holman and Hughes.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
great.
Thank you.
And without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2208 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool located at 929 Claymark Drive in the city of Town and Country.
Bill number 22-08 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28, 2022 for the second reading and consideration. Bill number 2209, I would seek a sponsor for the bill, also Holman and Hughes. I would think Alderman Holman and Hughes would be appropriate. Great, thank you. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2209 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pool house located at 929 Claymark Drive in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. Bill number 22-09 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28th, 2022 for the second reading and consideration. Next is bill number 2210. I would think this being sponsored by the alderman as a whole would be appropriate if nobody has any objection to that.
I would agree.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2210 is an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 405, the zoning regulations of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the amendment of Section 405.080 regarding definitions, Section 405.560 regarding conditional uses in office, campus office zoning districts, Section 405.1415 regarding permitted uses in service revitalization developments, and Section 405.1440 off-street parking and loading requirements for service revitalization developments.
Thank you. There, bill number 22-10 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28, 2022 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 2211, which I would think perhaps Alderman Holman and Hughes would sponsor this bill.
Mayor, if I may, I just to put it out there, and I know everyone's not present tonight, but this, although this is in Ward 1, I would like to understand if maybe the board as a whole would like to help support this, and only because this is first in Maine, right? This is a big entry point of our city. It's
Right.
an improvement to a commercial site that will have all eyes on it, and potentially artwork on the property on the corner there. So they're saving, we have a placeholder for that artwork. So I'm just curious if the whole board would like to go ahead and sponsor this.
Is there anybody who would be against that? Then we will do that in the
Great.
next one as
Great.
a board as a whole. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2211 is an ordinance approving the preliminary site development plan for Town and Country Market located at 2721 North Ballas Road in the city of Town and Country.
Bill number 2211 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28th, 2022 for the second reading and consideration. Bill number 2211, again, will be sponsored by the board as a whole. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2212 is an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for a convenience store with gasoline sales located at 2721 North Ballas Road in the city of Town and Country.
Thank you. Bill number 22-12 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28th, 2022 for the second reading and consideration. Next is an architectural review for the Town and Country Market located at 2721 North Ballas. I seek a motion and a second to continue this to Monday, February 28th, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion?
Mayor, can we just qualify for the second in case anyone's wondering, the public or the applicants are still with us? The purpose of the continuance for that item is just to keep it in line with the preliminary site development plan and the conditional use application, just in case there were any changes or anything, we'll keep those all together.
Thank you for that clarification. It's sort of a placeholder for that. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, approval of a purchase order to Lou Fuse Ford for 2021 Ford F-150 police responder in the amount of $37,500. I seek a motion and a second to approve. So seconded by Alderman Allen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Congratulations, good. Number 14, approval of a purchase order to VIP Distributing Police Department Vehicle Equipment in the amount of $9,639.91. I seek a motion and a second to approve. So moved by Alderman Perot, second by Alderman Even. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 This next one bothers me a little bit. Approval of staff travel request. City planner to attend the 2022 National Planning Conference, the amount of $1,762.69. I seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved.
Alderman and second. Any discussion? Alderman Holman.
Thank you. I don't know if you were joking or not, but it did bother me a little bit too. But as I thought about it, is I really do not like these Zoom meetings. I feel like I do a better job when I'm sitting between Holly and Barb on the dais, live with everybody. So, so I thought about that. And then I was looking at all the topics, and there are two really interesting topics that stood out. So I'm confident that Ryan selected those, but maybe what we could have when he returns is, not a presentation, but just, hey, this is what I learned. And so this is what I'm going to apply to the city. And maybe Bob can share it in a Friday update. If this gets approved, that would be my suggestion, that Bob Shelton gives us a little recap in his Friday update of what Ryan brought back that he learned that we could apply to our city. That's my 2 cents.
Perhaps at a work session.
I don't know if we need to spend that much time on it, but whatever you guys think.
I was absolutely serious.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I,
I assume there are no nays. All right, next, bill number 22-13. Would seek a sponsor for this bill. I would think it would be Alderman Allen, if you would sponsor it. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to see if the board as a whole would also want to do this in support of this, in that everyone knows veterans, and it does pertain to, it should be a beautiful place at Town Square. Just a question.
I would think that would be reasonable. Would anyone not want to be part of a sponsor for this? Then we will use it as the board as a whole. And without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2213 is an ordinance entering into an agreement with SWT Design for design services related to the Veterans and First Responders Recognition Project, and amending the 2022 budget by increasing a public art fund expenditure account and appropriating funds to cover the increase.
And bill number 22-13 is continued to the meeting of Monday, February 28, 2022 for the second reading consideration. And my previous comments on the wrong bill apply to this bill. Thank you. Bill number 22-14, seek a sponsor for this bill. And I would probably think the board as a whole would be a good sponsor for this bill also.
yeah, board as a whole would be great.
Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2214 is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company and Gershenson Construction Company, Inc. for construction completion of the Topping Road Resurfacing and Pedestrians Improvement Project, Phase 1.
Thank you. And third, Alderman Holman.
Am I supposed to motion first, though, Ashley?
Right now, there was just a first reading, so it would be appropriate for a suspension motion to be offered.
Okay. Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move to suspend the agenda rules in order to read the bill for the a second time. And I want to take it up for consideration for a second reading this evening in the interest of a couple of things. One, our city's commitment to the completion of this project and our commitment to the federal grant money that it is tied to and the timeline there that it's tied to. Also, the commitment to our community for public safety, for those traveling using Topping Road, for our commitment to our community as it pertains to the disruption to all those residents who live on or adjacent to Topping Road, and our commitment in being good partners with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company, working with them to get this done. They've identified the construction company who is MoDOT approved and has conducted work on our Clayton Trail. So I would request a motion that we provide a second reading tonight and vote on this.
I would think that's extraordinarily reasonable, and especially I'm very happy that Travelers has identified this company. We were unfortunate the other company went out of business. I think this is something that is very reasonable. I would just have a voice vote. All in favor?
Mayor, we need a second on that motion to suspend.
Second.
I've got several. Ellen wrote, even Alan, they were all seconds. Thank you. Sorry. All in favor of suspending the agenda rules, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. second reading without objection. Would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
And I'm going to note for the record that the mayor did consent to that suspension as well. Bill number 2214 is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company and Gershenson Construction Company, Inc. for construction completion of the Topping Road resurfacing and pedestrians improvement project, phase 1.
Thank you. I seek a motion to approve in a second.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, thank you. And any discussion or amendment? And would the city clerk have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Allen,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
and Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4489.
Thank you very much. Next is the warrant list, and it's in the amount of $444,648.23. I seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Alderman Allen, and do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Holman. Any discussion or amendment of the warrant list? Alderman Allen.
I have a couple points of, for discussion, and very briefly, I'd just like to say on page 7 of the warrant list, the yoga class, which basically comes from the Project Unplugged. And I talked to Ms. Nixon today. I don't know if all the board members are aware, in 2019, the city received a grant from a Mr. George John, and there was $20,000 used to redo one of the rooms at Longview to make it meditative, etc. And over the past 2 or 3 years, those monies for the program, actually of the 35,000, 20,000 was used to do the room and 15,000 for programs. And Ms. Nixon and they have used that money still to start some classes. So again, I believe we've used that 35,000 donation very effectively. And at some point, if people want more information, we can share that. But that was really nice. Also, I would like I talked to Mr. Shelton today about the T Hill construction, and again, Mayor, you congratulated our staff about the snow removal. And I know Mr. Shelton will be going into more detail about the cost, but just to reiterate, this $37,000. And I think, it's still pretty recent that we had that snow last week, and 37,000, that did not cover the materials. We had the salt. That was for labor for only one of the 2 contracts. Plus we had the overtime and for the staff. So I think it's always good to bring up points for discussion more than once so that we remember them as thoroughly. And I know Mr. Shelton is going to go into more detail, possibly at another date. Correct? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Allen. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the warrant list? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I don't have any other topics, but we'll open it up to the aldermen if they have anything else they want to bring up. If not, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Please.
I apologize. I'll go back and speak to the anonymous donor for the pet waste bags.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
That's all right.
All right. Then I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So
So moved.
Second by Alderman Allen. I assume there's no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Hey, have a great evening and thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.
Take care. Bye.